welcome to another episode of Raw Sports Radio. Today we're going to talk about whether or not the Celtics are a contender or they're not a contender, and some of the things that they may need to do to possibly be a contender. So let's talk about it, man. The last few games for the Celtics, man, they've been playing some pretty good basketball. They seem like they're trying to, you know, play together, as Marcus Smart said the year before last, when he didn't like what was going on. He was very public about it. He said, "Hey, man, we're not playing together as a team." It seemed like Jaylen Brown and Tatum are trying to put it together and trying to collaborate with each other, but time will tell. We really don't know. So my other host Gardner on the sideline here. He's gonna come in and out, and we're gonna talk about some things. And but first, let's talk about, like I said, this combination between Tatum and Brown. You know, they lost. They was on like 11 game winning streak or something like that, or maybe a 10 game winning streak, and then I believe they lost to either Atlanta or Detroit.
What about what's going on with Tatum and Brown not getting along? A little beef in Boston. What's going on with
Well,
that?
I don't think it's more or less like a beef, but more or less like who's going to be the main guy. I think like they were drafted 1 year apart from each other, first of all, and then
Yeah,
second,
Brown at number three in
that's
that
right,
2016, and Tatum at number
right,
three as well in 2017. So
exactly. So you draft a guy who plays basically the same position. So now you got a guy coming in
same
who's the
pecking order
star,
as well.
right, same pecking order, right. So now you got a guy that's been there a year before. He's is trying to establish himself as a superstar, and you got another guy coming who plays the same position. And now they're
Other
sharing
one,
the ball.
other one wants to one to play behind the other. He like, man, I ain't playing behind you. I was drafted the same position. I'm not playing behind you. I drafted the same position you were. I was here a year before you. I got more. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Tenure before
Yeah, but
you.
but the other guy doesn't want to be Robin. He doesn't want to be Robin. You gotta have a Batman and a Robin. This guy doesn't want to be
Right.
Robin. So I think that was one of the
And that
reasons.
and that who was that guy being Jaylen Brown, right? He don't want to be Robin, right?
Yeah, I think Jaylen Brown feels like, listen, man, I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna take my shots, and I'm gonna do what I
Mhm.
gotta do. It's not no little brother, big brother thing. It's just like, yo, we out here to play. We're gonna be balling out. So I think what happens is that when they were playing in some of these games, they wasn't playing team basketball. It was like who was gonna get the most buckets. And I think this year they kind
Right.
of trying to straighten that out this season. Cause I feel like they're collaborating a little bit more better with each other. You know what I mean? But I
Right.
just feel, having two, I'll say it again, Dave, two superstar forwards. I don't know any NBA team has won a championship with that kind of scenario. So that's how I look at that.
Right.
I don't think, but they got a good team. They got some good plays. They got some good pieces. You got Smart. They got Tice back. They got a lot of good pieces. You got the young man from San Antonio who's the guard. He's playing for them now. I forgot his name. I don't want to butcher his name up. But they got a nice squad. You know what I mean? But they still need, I think, a legitimate center. I think that's
Yeah, I
important.
told you.
Yeah,
Like you
you're
said,
right.
earlier in the season, you was like you would rather keep Tatum and ship Jason. No, you would keep Brown and ship Tatum on a trade somewhere. I
Yeah,
told you.
I
You know what
was
I'm
saying you
saying?
could
But
have.
I like.
Yeah, you could have traded either one of those guys,
But I
right?
told you that these guys competing against each other pretty much, and it's at the expense of the team. They just trying to get going out to get their numbers.
Right,
So
right.
that's what's causing the confusion. And like Marcus Smart, he felt like he was caught in the middle of it. He just standing in the corner. You know how he came out and said in one of his
Yeah.
interviews. But
I
I
mean,
get that later.
you see some of the moves that they made within the years. At one point they got rid of Harford, then
But
they
I
brought
told you,
Harford back,
yeah, they got rid of Hartford, but they ended up bringing them back. Like,
bringing
yeah,
them
I
back.
told you that
Yeah,
that it's going to have to be a leader. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to have a number one option. Somebody's going to have to set the number two option.
right. And
But
for some
I
reason,
told you. I mean, you wanted
yeah,
to keep Brown, but I told you you got to build around Tatum, man. Whether Jaylen Brown likes it or not, man, I don't know. Is issue because his problem because he really wasn't a shooter coming out of college at
well,
California.
he worked on
He
his game.
worked on the skill, right. Yeah, I mean, I guess let hype get to his head because sometimes I be on serious film and I listen to a lot of the callers, just the fans and everybody online, YouTube, whatever. But they were pretty much, the Boston fans was pushing for Jaylen Brown to shoot the ball more because they said Tatum was taking so many shots and he wasn't efficient at the beginning of the season, and Jaylen Brown was. But see, there's a catch to that. But Jaylen Brown wasn't guarded as the number one option on offense. Tatum was the number one focus on teams were honing in on Tatum as the number one option. So things
Right,
change when players take that focus off Tatum. Say, hey, this guy Brown is eating us up. That shooting percentage starts to go down.
right.
So I mean, they didn't have no defined roles. They were just out there getting it, as you said, and they put the new coach, I feel, in the tough position. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, well,
it wasn't
they
no
had,
respect
yeah.
there. But make
I
no confusion about it. Make no confusion about it. I mean, the organization already said. I mean, hey, Tatum's I got. We're gonna build around Tatum. So whether
Yeah,
Jaylen
right.
Brown liked it or not, you know what I mean. This is
Well,
the guy.
well, you know what? You're right, and that's what they. He's the number one guy. But what the problem was that even when they was playing in the bubble, you could see the issues that were going on with this team. Now I don't know because now they got a different coach. They're doing things a little bit differently, strategies differently. But I remember they were playing against that Miami Heat that series. These guys were missing so many jumpers. They didn't even want to even go to the basket. They as if they were still learning how to be efficient at the end of the games, and they lost some games and they lost the series. They were taking so many jump shots, and now I see them driving to the basket a little bit more. They're posting up, with their back to the basket. They're playing a little bit different style of play, and they're moving the ball around. And I think that has to do with the fact that they got some leadership from Hartford. I mean, these guys are not leader kind of guys. That's going to be vocal and be leaders. They're not those kind of guys. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So that also can be a part of the problem. Smart is a little bit of a leader. He's more of a defensive player, but when you look at a leader, you look at the guy who's the main guy as being the leader. You know what I mean? And Tatum
Hmm.
don't seem like that kind of guy. He's not very talkative like that with his guys. You know what I mean?
Right. He lead by example, huh? Just pretty much silent,
He's a silent guy. He's a
or
silent
going through.
assassin. He's going to get his buckets. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I think that comes with growing as a NBA player, doing what you got to do what's best for the team. I think they're trying to get to that point now, but can they sustain that going into the playoffs? That's going to be the key. Are they going to be able to do that?
Right.
You
Well,
know?
like you said, man, I felt like they took a step back when they lost. You said earlier. You mentioned they needed a big man in the a presence in the inside. I felt
Right.
like they had that in Horford, but of course they let him get away to Philly, and we seen the mess that was. Philly had a problem, and they didn't have no. They had like three big men or two big men,
Right.
a heavy loaded or a top heavy front court.
He got caught up in the numbers.
Yeah. So
Caught
he
up in
got
the
caught
numbers.
up in there, ended up getting shipped to OKC, but he finally made his way back home, back to Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they ended up getting Horford back, which at this point, egos are so crazy. I don't know how much of a influence Horford can have with these guys being that they done became men in their own right since he's been gone. So,
Yeah. Yeah. But I tell
um,
you, man, I've been watching Hoffa the last couple of games, man. And he's been an integral part in them winning games, man. He's been doing this thing with
mm,
his awkward
always
set shot
has
three
been.
pointer, man. He's doing this thing. He's playing, man, and he's consistent. He's consistent doing what he's getting rebounds and doing the little things that big men's supposed to do. So it's just a matter of them just like I said, as a team collectively playing together and being on the same page. I think at times in certain times of the game they're not on the same page.
Right, right, right,
Everybody has like a little bit of a hidden agenda sometimes, and I think that's what messes
right.
them up. I think the last couple games that I've seen when they had this winning game streak, they were playing together seamless and they were figuring it out. So
Hmm.
let's hope that they continue. They can um, use that and then kind of like build on that. Hopefully, going towards the playoffs.
Right, right, right.